theme is staying on purpose. And what's interesting about that topic is in the Quran, Allah is very explicit about what our purpose in life is. And He says, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونِ I did not create the human being and the jinn except that they worship. That's our purpose, not to worship Allah. Very straightforward. Okay, but is worship in and of itself the end, or is it a means towards an end? If you look at a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, this is actually a hadith Qudsi, the Prophet ﷺ kind of elaborates on where worship is supposed to take us. And this is actually a hadith Qudsi, so the Prophet ﷺ, that Allah says, مَا تَقَرَّبَ إِلَيَّ عَبْدِي بِشَيْءٍ أَحَبَّ إِلَيَّ مِمَّا افْتَرَضْتُ عَلَيْهِ My servant does not come close to me with anything more beloved to me than an act of worship, like the fara'id, right? وَلَا يَزَالُ عَبْدِي يَتَقَرَّبُ إِلَيَّ بِالنَّوَافِلِ حَتَّى أُحِبَّهُ And my servant will continue to add voluntary acts of worship حَتَّى أُحِبَّهُ until I love them. So Allah is teaching us here that worship is supposed to bring us to a destination, and that is the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? And so, inshallah, when we kind of are here, it's New Year's Eve, it's a time of renewal, it's a time to look back at the prior year, look forward to the upcoming year, and it's a beautiful theme that was chosen about staying on purpose. For us, that purpose is drawing closer and closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, even one of the most common things that's taught to the kids is that, you know, the first revelation is Iqra, right? You know, everybody knows that. The supremacy of seeking knowledge in Islam, okay. But is knowledge an end or is it a means towards an end? It's actually a means towards an end. Because if you go to Surah Al-Alaq, and you keep reading that surah, and you keep going to the end of the surah, the last word in that surah is iqtarib, come close. So in other words, even knowledge is a journey to coming closer and closer and closer and closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We read Surah Al-Kahf every Friday. What is one of the primary stories in that surah? Surah Musa al-Khidr. Musa goes on an exhaustive journey to seek knowledge from a man that has special knowledge about Allah. Now Musa is Kareem Allah, he's receiving direct speech from Allah, right? And yet, he's showing us that, if I can keep coming closer to Allah, I'm going to keep on pursuing that, it's worth it, right? Okay, so let's talk about it. So the theme is staying on purpose. We know our purpose is worship Allah, but worship is to bring us closer to the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah says, Hatta until I love that, you know? Okay, they say that love has 5 different languages, okay? Let's try to memorize these. Really work, because it's actually something practical that you can use in your everyday life. The 5 languages of love. And by the way, like psychologists and sociologists, they've done studies on this from a very secular perspective. They've studied the concept of love, and they've broken it down into 5 primary languages of love. And you know, and so they are. The first one they say is words of affirmation. Words, speaking words. Okay, as human beings, we're designed to like words of appreciation. If somebody comes and recognizes a favor that you did to them, for something, say thank you. What is the word thank you? It's basically, I recognize that what you did was a favor, and I just want to express to you that there was some sort of appreciation that engendered in my heart when you did that act, right? Then there's actually compliments, okay? Thank you, and then there's compliments. You know, somebody comes to mashallah, you look very good today. What happens to your heart? You get a compliment. Or somebody says, I like your outfit, it's a nice outfit. Ooh, what happens? Something sparks in the heart. You know, if somebody comes and says, oh, you know, I like your car, you're a very nice car, it's a cool car. Or if somebody comes and says, I like your house, mashallah, you know. If they mention your possessions, anything about you, what happens is that the spark that ignites into the heart. Like, oh, wow, hey, welcome, or thank you for the compliments, right? So in other words, Allah designed us in a way to appreciate words, compliments, right? Okay, so they say that one of the first languages of love is just speech, just saying things, you know. And they say that, you know, if you use it to your spouse, it's very helpful, or anything, just mentioning acts of gratitude. And they even say that, like, you know, there's kind of complimenting by saying thank you, and then there's actually what's called praising, right? So imagine, what's the difference between thanking and praising? Imagine if a person comes and gives you a gift, like, thank you, that's so appreciated. Then they come and give you a bigger gift. Oh, wow, thank you so much, appreciate it. Then they give you an even bigger gift, like, wow, thank you so much. When they give you a bigger gift, at some point you just say, you're so amazing. When I say you're so amazing, we're no longer talking about the gift, we're talking about the giver. This is called praising. It's actually higher than thinking. Okay, so that's the first language of love, and that's words of affirmation. The second language of love is called quality time. Okay? And this is very evident even in our own schedules. If you look at Monday through Friday, we're going to have like a routine, whether it's school, whether it's work, whatever. But in here as a calendar, we try to build in things that are unique. Whether it's, let's go to the movie theater, that's something unique. Or sometimes at the end of the year, let's go on vacation, let's go to Yosemite or whatever. Why? It's You want to create something unique, whether any kind of specific setting. These are all kind of what means by what you try to create quality time. And usually, whenever you go to the movie theaters or go camping or wherever, you go with the people that you love because you want to create a memory with that person that that gets established. So whenever you reflect back in 2022, what was some of my highlights? Most likely you're gonna mention when I went on vacation with my family, or when I went to the movie theater with my friends, or whatever. You start listening to quality time. So they say one of the other languages of love is having quality time. Even spouses, if you've been married for a long time, something that spouses will do is they'll say, you know what? We've been going through a lot of routine. Let's have the kids, stay with the babysitter and let's go out. Why? Why did they say that? It's because you're still with the spouse, whether you're at home doing the routine or whether you're at movie theaters, but then there's not really quality time, something special, right? So they say the second language of love is quality time. They say the third language of love is giving gifts. And by the way, this is actually tied to a hadith. The Prophet said in the hadith, he said, tahadu, tahabu. This hadith is 2 words in Arabic, right? He says, give gifts and you will love one another. The Prophet is teaching us. He's rahmatul alameen. His purpose is bringing human hearts together, and he's teaching us one of the fastest ways you can win hearts over, give gifts to each other, and love will engender. How many guys think this one is pretty straightforward? Any human being who right now, someone walks in, who's getting you the Apple laptop or something like that, or iPhone or whatever, whoa, okay, appreciate you. Even if you don't know that person, all of a sudden something happens in your heart that softens towards that person. It just happens. It's just how Allah designed us. That's what, again, these languages of love is something that's been confirmed from a secular perspective. So giving gifts. And imagine if you're, and sometimes whenever we have special occasions in society, we celebrate with gifts. If it's a birthday party, bring the gifts. If it's a graduation, bring the gifts. If it's, baby shower, bring the gifts. Wedding, bring the gifts, right? So in other words, at a moment of celebration, one of the ways we express our celebration is through giving gifts. It helps establish that. Okay, so that's the third language of love. What's the fourth language of love? This is the fourth language of love is acts of service. So, in other words, an act of service is sometimes, for example, you do a favor for somebody, you do a chore, you do something that somebody else that's not as desirable, but you do it. Why? Because you know that it will help somebody else. For example, like in this program, everyone wants to have rush out, but I'm gonna help fold all the chairs. Whatever. You want to do a favor. Now, you might do that for the sake of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. But the point is that any human being, whenever you do an act of service, like a chore, a favor toward them, it actually builds love in the heart. Like, man, I saw what you did. Imagine somebody does a favor for you. Like, hey, I'm stuck, and can you please go to the store, pick up a gallon of milk? When they do that, there's something in the heart that's like, man, that person stepped outside their comfort zone, went to the supermarket, bought me a gallon of milk, and brought it to me. I will remember that as a favor, right? So acts of service is a very strong language of love. People recognize it and appreciate it. And this is reflected in many different circumstances, whether it's volunteering, helping somebody, just make life easier for them. This is considered a language of love. And sometimes even with spouses, what spouses will do is like sometimes on the anniversary, a spouse will say, you know what, today I'm going to cook for my wife. She always cooks for me, and we need to cook for her this time. So then you go in the kitchen, with the ingredients, and the wife is kind of sitting there watching you, and you're kind of like, I feel sorry for you. But the point is that at that moment, what's going on in the mind of the wife, she sees that, man, this person, I don't care how the food turns out to be, but I'm going to appreciate it because I can see they spent the last 4 or 5 hours in the kitchen trying to do something to make me happy, in other words, that meal, they could call up a restaurant and say, Uber, DoorDash it, and it gets there in 5 minutes. That's not the same value as you kind of stepping into the kitchen for 5 hours trying your best to, because it's considered like you stepping outside your comfort zone in order to do something to please another person. So that's that fourth language of love called acts of service. And then the final language of love is called the physical touch, right? And Allah designed us this way. Sometimes when you greet a person, you greet them with a handshake. Why? Why can't you just go without the handshake? There's something about the physical touch that is very powerful. Even, for example, whenever you see somebody after a long time, you hug them. You see them at the airport, like, oh, hey, I haven't seen you in 5 years. You usually won't go and hug them. Why? Because at that moment, it's as if you're saying, I can't express the words to be like, to show how happy I am for seeing you after 5 years. So only a hug will will communicate what I need to express right now. Allah designed us that way. Even a child with a mother, the child can feel the love of the mother just by the mother being close. You know, there's Instagram videos of this, like the baby crying, as soon as it comes next to the mom, the baby kind of calms down. What is it? Like physical proximity, you know, etc. So, and even if sometimes what we consider rude is if you turn your back towards someone, right? It's like there's something even in the physical, like if you turn your back, it's considered the opposite of love, right? And then the hug is kind of like, so Allah designed it, and there's even the concept of the kiss, etc. So these are how Allah designed this. Now, why am I talking about this? The reason I'm talking about this is because if you look at the 5 languages of love, they are perfectly aligned with the 5 pillars of Islam. It is amazing. Okay, I mean, our religion is so profound, so sophisticated, so like our 5 pillars of Islam are literally the 5 languages by which you can express your love to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How amazing is that? I mean, you can, this is a divinely inspired religion that Allah knows humans have 5 languages of love, and the 5 pillars of Islam will be aligned with it perfectly. Let's go through that. The first one is shahada. What is shahada? It's a word. It's literally one sentence that you say. When you say that sentence, you enter into Islam. And then you can, for the rest of your life, you can live it of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Like in other words, just like any relationship begins by you saying, telling you know, the opposite, your future spouse, I love you. Boom, that's it, that's the start, right? It's as if the shahada is telling Allah, I love you. And it's like, all right, you know, just like, you know, every marriage kind of started off with one sentence. You express that I have an affection towards you, I love you, you know? And then from there on, it takes off for the next 50, 60, 100 years, you know? The same thing, and then so there's what's the bare requirement, and then there's the unlimited kind of extra that you can do, right? And that's why we look at our religion, the one thing that we're commanded to a lot of is dhikr of Allah. The Prophet said, nobody loves praise like Allah loves praise. You know, so in other words, we're being taught that dhikr of Allah, Allah says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu dhikrullahi dhikran kathira, or you believe to an abundance of dhikr. Dhikr is the one thing that you can do, whether you have wudu or don't have wudu, whether you're sleeping, standing up, you can do it in any state, unconditional, go, do as much as you can, you know. And the supremacy of them, the Prophet said, kalimatan, khafifatan, ala lisan, thaqilatan, fil mizan, habibatan, wa rahmah. There's 2 statements that are light on the tongue but heavy on the scales, and they are beloved to Rahman. What are they? Subhanallah, subhanallah, azim. Just think about that. That statement, the Prophet, it's so soft on the tongue, but it's heavy on the scales of the day. Don't you ever want something that's heavy on the scales of the day? Okay, say this statement. And this statement, it triggers the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do you want to trigger the love of Allah right now? Say subhanallah, you know? So in other words, it's very powerful that dhikr is basically a means by which we can express our love to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, what did I say was the second language of love? The second language of love was quality time. What is the second pillar of Islam? Salah. How amazing is that? Just like as human beings, we love to create private moments of uniqueness, you know, where it's just us and the person who we like to hang out with, you, your best friend, you and your spouse, or whatever. It's like, come on, let's go, we're going to go to the movie theaters, you know? Why? Because we want to create a special memory. Allah also requires us to have special moments with Him too. Because technically speaking, at every moment we're with Allah. Right now we're with Allah, right? But no, that's not enough for Allah. Allah says, no, I want special moments. So salah is that moment when you say Allah Akbar and it's just you and Allah. That private quality time between us and Allah. We have the 5 required time. So there's a required, just like with the first language, there's what's required. At one point you have to say but then you do all the infinite volunteer. Look at the second language of Allah too. You have the required, and then you can do as much as you want. Look at the supremacy of tahajjud, qiyam al-layl. The Prophet said, sharaf al-mu'min, qiyam al-layl, the honor of the believers in qiyam al-layl. So in other words, through this language of love, you become closer and closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How beautiful is that? Look at the third language of love. What do we say with the third language of love? We say it's giving gifts. Right? As human beings, if somebody comes and gives you a gift, you're going to appreciate that. You're like, wow, your heart softens up. Now, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we don't give a lot of gifts because, you know, Allah is as-samad, as-mu'min, al-alameen. But who can you give gifts to? The creation of Allah. And think about this, you guys. For those who are parents, right? If somebody right now walks up and gives you a gift, that's one option. Or somebody walks around and gives your child a gift. Which one is going to make you happier? Obviously, it's going to be the second one. When they give your child a gift, because when they give your child a gift, you see your child all happy and smiling, you get even more happy and smiling, right? And same thing with the creation of Allah, right? Like when the needy people, the Prophet says, "Al-khalqu iyad Allah, wa habbu li iyad وَهَبَ مِنَ اللَّهِ أَنْفَعُهُمْ لِعِيَالِهِ. The creation is the dependence of Allah, and the most beloved to Allah is the one who is most beneficial to His creation. So in other words, Allah sees that whenever you go and help His creation by helping them, giving them gifts, giving them sadaqah, giving them, and you help improve their life. That is, you can imagine that that's so in terms of Allah's appreciation of that. I mean, think about this. We know the story of a prostitute woman who just gave water to a dog. And because of that one act, she just helped make a dog's life better. And the Prophet said that she's in paradise. Allah wants to forgive all her sin. Just by you helping a dog out. So imagine what it's like to help other human beings, by constantly giving sadaqah. Now there's a requirement, which is zakat once a year, and then there's infinite sadaqah, endless sadaqah. Go, give as much as you can. Give, And look at our Prophet. And every one of these languages above, our Prophet is the master of all of them, They said, he was the most generous of all people, It's impossible to be more generous than our Prophet. He just mastered all his languages. Just doesn't fear poverty, just give, And so, why? What you ultimately seeking is the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, what's the fourth language of love? We said the fourth language of love, acts of service. What is the fourth language of Islam? Is fasting. Now, an act of service is defined by you stepping outside your comfort zone to do something to please another person, right? Step outside your comfort zone to do something that pleases another person. So in the example that we gave, the husband kind of goes into the kitchen to try to cook. He's stepping outside his comfort zone to do something to please his wife, right? That's exactly what fasting is. Fasting, we basically step outside our comfort zone to do something to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And does it please Allah? The Prophet said in the hadith that Allah says in Hadith Qudsi, كُلُّ عَمْلٍ مِنْ آدَمَ لَهُ إِلَّا الصَّوْمَ فَإِنَّهُ لِي وَأَنَا بِهِ. Every action of the son of Adam is his, except for fasting. That is mine, and I will reward him accordingly. Can you imagine, right? Just like as human beings, if somebody does you a favor, you'll forever remember that, man, that person really, they came to the grocery store buying that milk, or they split for 4 hours trying to cook. It's like something special. I can see you stepping outside your comfort zone. How do you think Allah reacts to our fasting? SubhanAllah, And then there's a requirement. There's Ramadan, 40 days requirement, and then there's every Monday, Thursday. There's the white day. There's Ashura. There's all these days, extra days of fasting. Why? To kind of communicate, to reach Allah's love through this specific language. Okay, what is the fifth language of love? The fifth language of love, we said, is the physical touch. Right? On top of the hug and the handshake and the kiss and all that. What is the fifth pillar of Islam? Hajj. Hajj is literally when you get up, and it's not enough to worship Allah here in the city of California. You get up and you go to Mecca and Medina, and you go to Mecca to perform the ritual to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in other words, it's not enough in my relationship with Allah to establish it here. I need to get up to Mecca, the city of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His house. And this is the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And to touch the land, the Prophet touched them, Ibrahim touched them. Can you imagine? And what's amazing, when you arrive to the Kaaba, what is the first thing you do? Is you do the tawaf, right? But how does the tawaf start? The tawaf start, if you have access to Hajar al-Aswad, you go up to Hajar al-Aswad and you kiss it. Literally, tawaf begins with a kiss. And then you start to circumnavigate around it. And every time you circumnavigate, you're supposed to go back and kiss the Hajar al-Aswad if you have access to it, In our time, it's so crowded, but still. And then, there's the Rukn Yamani. The Rukn Yamani is the Prophet touched it, physically touched it, SubhanAllah. So in other words, there's kind of a requirement Hajj once a year, and then there's infinite amount of Umrah that you can do as well throughout your life, You can continue to build on it and build on it. So it's amazing that the Prophet is that these 5 languages of love that even secular social scientists and psychologists have studied are perfectly aligned with the 5 pillars of Islam. So in other words, we shouldn't view the 5 pillars of Islam as something as just purely ritualistic. No, these are vehicles by which you can arrive to the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How amazing is that? Now, let's go back. Remember they say that with love, what ends up happening is that you tend to, they say that spouses who've been together for a long time, they start acting like each other, they start behaving like each other. It's like you're starting to become like the same person, You know what's amazing? Go back to that hadith that I mentioned at the beginning about the love of Allah. He says that my servant doesn't come draw close to me except that I may follow upon him, and he continues to come closer to me with that which is by the nawafil until I love him. the hadith doesn't stop there. It doesn't just stop until then also when I love him, كنت السمع الذي يسمع به. I become his hearing with which he hears, his eyes with which he sees, his hand with which he works, his feet with which he walks. If you were to ask anything of me, I would grant it to him. And if you were to seek refuge in me, I would grant him that refuge. In other words, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is teaching us that when the more we devote ourselves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and draw close to him, it starts to become when a person sees you, they're reminded of Allah. It's kind of like that example when two spouses have been together for a really long time, they begin to resemble each other. It's as if human beings who've been worshiping Allah for a long time. It happens. The Prophet said that the best friend that you can have is a person who, when you see him, you're reminded of Allah. SubhanAllah, how cool is that? You know. And what's amazing about this is that what would be a good starting point? So it's like, okay, fine, we're talking about coming closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through building love, through our love of Allah. There's a really powerful ayah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ma gharraka, no, Ya ayyuhal insan ma gharraka bi rabbikal kareem. O human being, what has deceived you from your Lord, the most generous? Alright? Now the question is, what does Allah refer to? What is deceived us from the generous Lord? The scholars say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so eloquent that he put the answer inside the question. That Allah is your generosity. Like in other words, as human beings, Allah designed us in a way where the more a person gives you a gift, the more your heart comes closer to them. Until like that's what we love our mothers the most that they give us life, you know. But Allah said, how come something like that with me? How come with me, the more I give you, the more you're kind of drawn away from me. Allah said, what's happening? What is that blockage that's standing in the way? Ma gharraka, ya ayyuhal insan, ma gharraka. And it's amazing in this ayah, usually Allah says, ya ayyuhan nas, plural, man. But this ya ayyuhal insan, and Allah places into this is addressing specifically me. You know, place your name here. You know, what is the secret from the Lord that was generous? You know, I keep pouring these gifts into your life. But where is the affection being built in the heart? You know, SubhanAllah, it's very beautiful. So it's amazing. So again, each one of these languages, like if we had time, we could go to the life of our Prophet and see how to master each one of them. When they came to the dhikr of Allah, when they came to salah, the nafil of the salah, you know. When it came to giving gifts, the most generous of mankind, fasting, you know, your Hajj Umrah. So what's being taught to us here is that this is the goal, right? Like the ultimate thing that we're seeking is love of Allah, and love of Allah is super precious. You see, to get into paradise, you need what's called the rida of Allah. Rida is pleasure. You know, pleasure is I'm pleased with you. We're pleased with people, like society. You know, we're pleased with people in the community. But love is special. You can't have to. You can't have to work for that. Allah makes us work for it. There's a really beautiful story about Layla and Majnun, like Allah. They say that wisdom is something that can be found anywhere, right? Romeo and Juliet, so the most famous story of love, right? So they started, that story actually goes back to like Qais and Layla. They were actually Muslim. And so one time, Majnun, they call him Romeo's Qais, is known as Majnun, the madman. Because he went crazy out of his love for Layla. One time he was walking in front of, and there was a person praying, and he just walked right in front of him, and just continued walking. And this person finished his salah, and he turned to him and said, excuse me, like I just want, like, I don't know if you noticed, I was praying here, and I was kind of rude of you to walk right in front of me. And my Jew turned to him and he said, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm sorry, I really didn't see you there, please forgive me. I said, can I say something? He says, yeah. He says, you could see the state that I'm in. That out of my intoxicating love for Layla, I've become bewildered and I've lost consciousness of my surroundings. To the point where I just walk in front of you and I don't even notice it, you know? He says, and you are praying to the Lord of Layla. He says, the one who thought of creating Layla, the one who created Layla, the one who brought her to this world. And you know this is not life. Like in other words, I've reached the peak of just human love. Just basic human love. I've reached the peak of human love. And I lost consciousness of my spine, I don't notice you. You are entering into a realm called divine love. And you notice me walking by. What kind of worship of Allah is this? You know? So the man is like, yeah, today you've talking to us on worship. You know, this isn't like some type of like this fairy tale. You know, like in the Quran, Musa alayhi salam was commanded by Allah, come, I want to meet with you for 40 days and go to say now. And Musa, you know what he did? He started running to that name. Allah asked him in the Quran, Surah وَمَا أَعْجَلَكَ عَنْ قَوْمِكَ يَا مُوسَى. Why are you running, Musa? And then Musa said, look, he responds back to Allah, I I'm running to you also that you can be pleased. You know, it's beautiful. You know, beautiful story. You know, and this the story of Musa and Allah is a story of love. You know, one of my favorite ayahs in the Quran, Allah told Musa when in their first meeting with Allah, Musa Allah starts to tell the whole biography of Musa in front of him. He says, when your mother put you into the basket and tossed you, and then your sister went to the people and said, I know a person who can suckle him and nurse him, etc. And Allah says, وَأَلْقَيْتُ عَلَيْكَ مَحَبَّةً مِنِّي وَلِتُسْنَ عَلَى عَيْنِي. And I threw my love upon you so that you could be raised under my eye. Allah, Musa is over there worried about, oh, I accidentally killed the person. Allah said, listen, I've loved you since the day you were born. This is the power of divine love. This is all God, you know. May Allah subhanahu make us of those who are beautifully implementing these languages of love in our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah make us of those who are in the muhibbeen and the mahbubeen, those who are in love with Allah and His Messenger and who are beloved by Allah and His Messenger. May Allah make us of those who increase, you know, the one dua that we always say after our salat, Allahumma anni ala dhikrika wa shukrika wa hasanatik. Allah, help me in doing more dhikr and doing more shukr of you and beautify my worship of you. May Allah make us of those who is helped by Him and doing more dhikr and shukr of Him and who are purified in our worship for Him. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam.
Jazakallah khair. Jazakallah khair, inshallah, for that amazing talk. My mouth actually dropped. It was like, it relates to each of the 5 pillars, so I'm going to be plagiarizing it pretty soon, just FYI. Inshallah, quiz time. If you're paying attention, inshallah, let's see what we have. At the very beginning of this talk, Brother Nabi mentioned that in the Quran, it mentioned the purpose of life. According to the Quran, what is the purpose of life? No, come on. Come here.
Oh, Hamza.
Pick the person. Come here. You're going to pick the person.
Ah.
Go.
Hey, Hamza, me.
Pick someone. Quickly. You got time.
Zisha.
Right here. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said the purpose of humanity is to worship Him.
MashaAllah.
Takbir.
MashaAllah.
Man is knowledgeable.
He mentioned that same thing. He mentioned that in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, He says that we have not created humans and jinn except for worship, inshallah. So another question is going to be for the sisters, inshallah. You can go down. This is the thing. She wants to ask one. You're going to pick the next answer, inshallah. What do you got here? Brother Nabi mentioned a hadith that has 2 words in it. It is tuhadduna wa tuhabbuna, right? What does that hadith mean? For the sisters. So Nazim will pick the next person.
What does that mean?
Well, there's another hadith, very close. Hafizatan al-Lisan, it's a close one. Another hadith you mentioned before that hadith. So can you get a hand with that?
You need to repeat the question?
No.
Can you repeat the question?
Repeat the question. Brother Nabi mentioned a hadith, and in the hadith, it was a 2-worded hadith. What word? The hadith was tuhaddun wa tuhabbun. Was it? Tuhaddun. Yes. We have seen hand raised. You know? Close. That was the other hadith that was mentioned.
I don't even know.
That's what I go to. That's the famous hadith. So everyone knows that one. Not too hard, but Naqib still here?
Yeah.
Okay, give me another question. Your time. Give me a question. Your time.
Okay, yeah. So I think this was almost answered, but what is the statements that the Prophet said? This statement right here is light on the tongue, heavy on the scale, and beloved to Allah.
It's for the sisters.
Oh, okay.
does come